Commander Kim Tae-ho stood at the big window of Earth's space station watching the alien ships form a perfect circle around their planet. The ships looked like giant metal birds with glowing wings that stretched across the darkness of space. Each ship was bigger than a city, and there were thousands of them blocking every path that led away from Earth. 3 years ago, everything had been different. The first alien visitors had come to Earth with messages of peace and friendship, they said. They wanted to welcome humanity into the Galactic Coalition, a group of peaceful species that worked together across the stars. The aliens looked strange with their smooth skin and large eyes that never seemed to blink, but they spoke in calm voices about sharing knowledge and technology, but the peace talks had gone wrong very quickly. The aliens had expected humans to be like them, quiet and civilized creatures who solved problems with words instead of weapons. When the first disagreement happened over mining rights in the asteroid belt, the aliens were shocked by how quickly humans prepared for war. They had never seen a species that could switch from diplomacy to combat so fast. The war that followed was brutal, and short human fighters attacked with a fury that terrified the alien visitors. These peaceful creatures had never faced enemies who fought with such personal intensity. While other species used computers and robots to fight their battles, humans climbed into ships and fought face to face with their enemies. The aliens' weapons were more advanced, but human tactics were unpredictable and savage. Kim Tae-ho remembered the final battle above Mars when Captain Park Dong-sik had rammed his damaged fighter directly into the alien command ship. The explosion had taken out half their fleet, but it had also shown the aliens something they had never seen before: a warrior who would die rather than surrender. The alien commander had sent a message to Earth. That single act of sacrifice had changed everything. After the war ended, the aliens retreated to their ships and sent a message to Earth: the humans were too dangerous to be allowed into space. Their combination of advanced technology and primitive fighting instincts made them a threat to every peaceful species in the galaxy. The coalition had decided that humanity would remain trapped on Earth until they learned to be civilized. Dr. Park Min-ae had been studying the alien technology that was left behind after the battles. She worked in a secret laboratory deep underground where pieces of alien ships were kept for research. What she discovered had shocked everyone. The aliens were not just peaceful, they were weak. Every species in the coalition had evolved past their ability to fight. They had become so civilized that they could barely defend themselves. The alien races had all followed the same path over millions of years. They had developed advanced technology and peaceful societies, but they had lost their warrior instincts. They fought wars with machines and computers, keeping themselves safe from danger. Human soldiers who had fought against them reported that the aliens seemed confused by direct combat. They did not understand why humans would risk their lives in battle. This discovery explained why the coalition was so afraid of humanity. Every other intelligent species had chosen peace over strength, but humans had kept both. They had advanced technology like the aliens, but they also had the fighting spirit that made them dangerous. The aliens saw this as a flaw, something that needed to be fixed, but humans knew it was their greatest strength. The blockade around Earth was massive, and well-organized ships from dozens of different species worked together to create an energy barrier that surrounded the entire solar system. No human ship could break through the wall of force that kept them trapped. The aliens had positioned their vessels in perfect formation, showing that they had planned this prison very carefully. Kim Tae-ho watched the alien ships through his telescope, seeing creatures that looked like floating jellyfish and others that resembled giant insects with metal wings. There were species that glowed with their own light and others that seemed to be made of living crystal. All of them were united in their fear of human expansion into space. The energy barrier was invisible to the naked eye, but sensors showed it as a wall of crackling electricity that surrounded Earth and its moon. Nothing could pass through it without being destroyed. The aliens had tested it by sending small probes that were instantly vaporized when they touched the barrier. It was a perfect prison designed to keep humanity locked away from the stars, but the aliens had made a mistake in their planning. They thought that trapping humans on Earth would force them to become peaceful like every other species in the galaxy. They believed that without the ability to explore and fight, humanity would eventually give up their warrior nature and become civilized. The coalition expected this process to take thousands of years. What the aliens did not understand was that humans had always been at their best when facing impossible odds. Their history was filled with stories of warriors who had fought against overwhelming enemies and found ways to win. Being trapped made humans more determined, not less. The blockade was not weakening their fighting spirit, it was making it stronger. Down on Earth, military leaders were already making plans. General Namkibum had called together the best scientists and soldiers to find a way to break through the alien prison. He knew that humanity could not accept being caged like animals. The same fighting spirit that had terrified the aliens during the war would find a way to set them free. The space station where Kim Tae-ho worked was one of several that had been built to monitor the alien blockade. Human engineers were studying the enemy ships, looking for weaknesses in their formation. Every day they learned more about the aliens' technology and tactics. The information was being sent to military bases around the world where plans were being made. Kim Tae-ho thought about his daughter, who was only 5 years old when the blockade began. She was now 8 and had never seen a world where humans could travel to the stars. She drew pictures of spaceships and alien worlds that she had only heard about in stories. Her generation was growing up in a prison, and they deserved better. The commander looked at the alien ships one more time before returning to his duties. He knew that somewhere on Earth brilliant minds were working on solutions to their problem. Humanity had always found ways to overcome their enemies, and this time would be no different. The aliens had blocked Earth from the stars, but they had also given humans time to prepare. As he walked through the corridors of the space station, Kim Tae-ho could feel the determination of every person working there. They were not just monitoring the enemy, they were preparing for the day when humanity would break free. The blockade was strong, but human will was stronger. The aliens would learn that caging warriors only made them more dangerous when they finally escaped. Captain Lee Dong-woo led his team through the dark tunnels deep beneath the mountains of Korea. The government had sent them to investigate strange readings that satellites had detected far underground. The tunnels were old, very old, and they seemed to go on forever. The walls were made of smooth black stone that did not look like anything humans had ever built. Dr. Yoon Sojin followed behind the captain, carrying her equipment for studying ancient ruins. She had been called in because the tunnels contained symbols and writings that no one could understand. The symbols glowed with a faint blue light that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. The air in the tunnels was warm and smelled like metal and electricity. Private Han Jae-sung was nervous. As he walked through the narrow passages, his job was to scan for dangerous radiation or toxic gases, but his instruments showed readings that made no sense. The tunnels were filled with some kind of energy that his machines could not identify. It was not radioactive or poisonous, but it was definitely not natural. The team had been walking for 3 hours when they found the first chamber. It was huge, bigger than a football stadium, and filled with strange machines that looked like they were made from black glass and silver metal. The ceiling was covered with lights that pulsed in patterns like stars in the night sky. The whole room hummed with quiet energy. Dr. Yoon Sojin immediately began studying the symbols carved into the walls. They were different from anything she had seen before, more complex than Egyptian hieroglyphs, but somehow familiar. The symbols seemed to tell a story about a great war that had happened long ago. Between warriors and peaceful creatures, the carvings showed battles in space and weapons that could destroy entire planets. Captain Lee Dong-woo ordered his team to spread out and explore the chamber carefully. They found control panels covered with buttons and screens that were dark but not broken. The machines looked like they were just sleeping, waiting for someone to wake them up. The technology was clearly very advanced, but it had been sitting here for thousands of years. Private Han Jae-sung was examining one of the control panels when he accidentally touched a glowing symbol. The entire chamber suddenly came to life. Lights began flashing and screens activated, showing images of star maps and weapon designs that were far beyond human technology. The machines started humming louder, and the air began to vibrate with power. The team watched in amazement as holographic displays appeared above the control panel, showing detailed information about space battles and military tactics. The images were so clear and detailed that they looked real. The star maps showed the locations of similar facilities on other worlds, scattered throughout the galaxy. Each facility was marked with the same symbols they had found on the walls. Yun So-jin worked frantically to understand what they had discovered. The symbols told the story of an ancient race called the progenitors who had ruled this part of the galaxy millions of years ago. They had been warriors like humans, creatures who understood that sometimes fighting was necessary to protect what was important to them. The progenitors had built these facilities as weapons depots and training centers for their military forces, but something had happened to them, and they had vanished, leaving behind only these buried installations. The symbols suggested that they had known their time was ending and had prepared these facilities for others who would come after them. Captain Lee Dong-woo tried to contact the surface, but the communication equipment was not working properly. The energy in the chamber was interfering with their radios. They were cut off from the outside world, but they had found something that could change everything. The ancient technology was responding to human presence in ways that seemed impossible. More testing revealed that only humans could activate the progenitor systems. When Dr. Yoon So-jin tried to get the machines to respond to recordings of alien voices, nothing happened. But when any member of the human team spoke to the machines or touched the controls, the systems came alive. The technology was designed to work specifically with human neural patterns and brainwaves. The star map showed that there were hundreds of these facilities scattered throughout the galaxy, all of them waiting for someone with the right genetic markers to activate them. The progenitors had built a network of military installations that spanned dozens of star systems, and now humans had found the key to using them. Private Han Jae soon discovered that the machines could teach him how to operate advanced weapons and tactical systems. Just by touching the control panels, he could feel knowledge flowing into his mind. The ancient technology was not just providing tools, it was providing the training needed to use them effectively. The team realized they had found something that could break the alien blockade around Earth. The progenitor facilities contained technology that was far more advanced than anything the Coalition possessed. The ancient race had built their weapons for warriors, and humans were the only species in the galaxy who still had the fighting spirit needed to use them. Yoon So-jin found more symbols that explained why the progenitors had vanished. They had been outnumbered by peaceful species who had formed an alliance to contain them. The warriors had fought bravely, but there had been too many enemies. Eventually, they had been forced to hide their technology and wait for others who would understand the need to fight. Captain Lee Dong-woo understood that they had found the answer to humanity's problem. The aliens had trapped them on Earth, but they had also given humans time to discover the means of their liberation. The progenitor installation was not just a weapons depot, it was a complete military system designed to turn ordinary fighters into super soldiers. The ancient technology seemed to be waiting for someone exactly like humans, a species that combined advanced intelligence with warrior instincts. The progenitors had known that someday another race of fighters would need these tools to claim their place among the stars. As the team prepared to return to the surface, Captain Lee Dong-woo took one last look at the amazing chamber. The machines were still humming with power, and the holographic displays continued to show tactical information. The ancient warriors had left behind everything humans needed to break free from their prison. The discovery would change everything. Once the government learned about the progenitor facilities, they would begin training programs to teach humans how to use the advanced technology. The aliens thought they had contained humanity, but they had actually given them time to become something much more dangerous. Yoon So-jin carefully documented everything they had found. The symbols, the star maps, and the weapon designs would all be studied by the best minds on Earth. The progenitors had left behind a legacy that would help their fellow warriors reclaim the stars. The ancient race had been defeated, but their technology would ensure that humans would never suffer the same fate. Engineer Choi Byung-ho worked day and night in the underground laboratory trying to connect human minds with the progenitor technology. The ancient machines were incredibly advanced, but they required something more than just technical knowledge. They needed pilots who could think like warriors and act with the speed and precision of trained fighters. The first volunteers were military pilots who had fought in the war against the aliens. Major Song Hai-rim was chosen for the first test because she had shot down more enemy ships than any other human pilot. She was brave and skilled, but even she was nervous about connecting her mind directly to alien technology. Dr. Lim Sang-wook monitored all the medical equipment as Major Song Hai-rim sat in the pilot chair. The progenitor interface looked like a helmet made of black metal with cables that glowed blue. When activated, the helmet would connect directly to her brain and allow her to control the ancient weapons with her thoughts. When the connection was made, Major Song Hai-rim felt her consciousness expand far beyond her physical body. She could suddenly see in all directions at once and perceive things that were happening miles away. Her reflexes became lightning fast, and her mind could calculate battle strategies instantly. The ancient technology was making her superhuman. The test was successful, but also frightening. Major Song Hai-rim described feeling like she was becoming something more than human. The progenitor technology did not just give her new abilities. It changed the way she thought and felt about combat. She could sense enemy weaknesses and predict their moves before they made them. Dr. Lim Sang-wook studied the brain scans and discovered that the progenitor technology was designed to work with species that had both intelligence and fighting instincts. The ancient machines enhanced natural warrior abilities rather than replacing them with artificial intelligence. This made the technology perfect for humans. More volunteers began training with the progenitor systems. Each pilot who successfully connected with the technology came back changed. They moved faster, thought clearer, and fought with a precision that amazed their instructors. The ancient machines were turning ordinary human soldiers into living weapons. Lieutenant Colonel Park Jun-ho was put in charge of the training program. He had been a Special Forces commander during the Alien War and understood what it took to create elite fighters. The progenitor technology was giving him tools that surpassed anything he had imagined possible. Training facility was expanded to accommodate more pilots. The government had decided that hundreds of humans needed to learn how to use the ancient technology. The alien blockade was still in place, but now there was hope that it could be broken. Human pilots were being transformed into something the aliens had never encountered. Engineer Choi Byung-ho made improvements to the connection process, making it safer and more effective. He discovered that the technology worked best with pilots who had real combat experienced. Veterans of the alien war adapted quickly to the enhanced capabilities because they understood the mental discipline required. The progenitor systems began revealing more of their secrets. Each successful connection unlocked new abilities. Human pilots could now coordinate with each other telepathically, sharing tactical information instantly. Across great distances, the ancient technology was creating a network of enhanced warriors who could fight as one. Major Song Hai-rim led a squadron of enhanced pilots in their first combat simulation. The results were incredible. They moved with perfect coordination, anticipating each other's actions and responding to threats faster than any human had ever moved before. The progenitor technology was making them into something new. Dr. Lim Sang-wook noticed that the technology seemed to have been designed specifically for creatures like humans. The ancient progenitors had been warriors who valued personal courage and individual skill. The machines enhanced these qualities rather than replacing them with cold efficiency. The enhanced pilots began training in space using modified human fighters equipped with progenitor technology. The results were amazing. Human ships could now phase through solid matter, disrupt enemy shields, and move with impossible speed and agility. The ancient technology was giving them abilities that seemed like magic. Lieutenant Colonel Park Jun-ho watched his pilots train and knew they were ready for real combat. The progenitor technology had not just made them better fighters, it had awakened something deep within human nature. The pilots moved with the confidence of apex predators who had finally found their proper weapons. The training program expanded to include ground forces and naval units. The ancient technology could enhance any type of warrior, making them faster, stronger, and more deadly. The progenitors had left behind a complete military system that could transform entire armies. Engineer Choi Byung-ho made a breakthrough when he discovered how to mass-produce the connection helmets. Now hundreds of humans could be enhanced at the same time. The technology was spreading through the military, creating an army of super soldiers who could challenge the alien blockade. The enhanced pilots reported strange dreams where they could see flashes of ancient battles. The progenitor technology was not just giving them new abilities, it was sharing the memories and experiences of the ancient warriors. They were learning from masters who had fought wars across the galaxy DR. Lim Sang-wook realized that the technology was preparing humanity for something bigger than just breaking the blockade. The ancient progenitors had built their network to support a galactic military campaign. The enhanced humans were being trained to reclaim the stars. Major Song Hyrim felt the change in herself and her fellow pilots. They were still human, but they had become something more. The progenitor technology had awakened abilities that had always been inside them, waiting for the right moment to emerge. The alien blockade continued to surround Earth. But now the humans trapped inside were becoming something the aliens had never imagined. The peaceful coalition had expected humanity to grow weak and civilized in captivity. Instead, they had found ancient technology that made them more dangerous than ever. Lieutenant Colonel Park Junho knew that the time for training was almost over. His enhanced pilots were ready to face the alien blockade and show the galaxy what human warriors could become when they had the right tools. The progenitors had left behind everything needed to set humanity free. The awakening was complete. Human pilots had bonded with ancient technology and become living weapons capable of challenging the greatest military force in the galaxy. The aliens had trapped them on Earth, but they had also given them time to discover their true potential. Dr. Kim Yeon-soo made the most important discovery in human history when she finally accessed the core programming of the progenitor network. The ancient installation beneath Korea was not just a weapons depot, it was one node in a massive system that connected hundreds of facilities across the galaxy. Each installation was designed to work together, creating a military network that spanned the stars. The progenitor system had been waiting for millions of years for a species that could fully activate its ultimate creation. The ancient race had built something they called the God of Fight, a fusion of biological consciousness and technological enhancement that could coordinate entire fleets while maintaining the personal touch that made warriors effective. Commander Seo Min-ho volunteered to attempt the full integration with the system. He understood that the process was dangerous and would change him forever, but he also knew that humanity needed someone who could match the scope of the alien threat. The coalition had thousands of ships and billions of soldiers, but they lacked the warrior spirit that made the difference in battle. The integration chamber was deep in the heart of the ancient facility, surrounded by machines that hummed with power that had been building for millions of years. Dr. Kim Yeon-soo and her team prepared Commander Seo Min-ho for a process that no human had ever attempted. The ancient technology would merge with his consciousness completely. When the process began, Commander Seo Min-ho felt his awareness expand beyond anything he had ever imagined. His mind suddenly encompassed the entire progenitor network, allowing him to perceive installations on dozens of worlds. He could feel the presence of every enhanced human pilot and sense the positions of alien ships throughout the galaxy. The transformation was successful, but it changed Commander Seo Min-ho in ways that amazed everyone who observed it. He retained his human personality and memories, but gained abilities that seemed almost supernatural. He could predict enemy movements, calculate complex battle strategies, and inspire human fighters with a shared sense of purpose. Dr. Jung Ha-won monitored the integration process and realized they had created something unprecedented in galactic history. The God of Fight was not an artificial intelligence or a computer program. It was a living human consciousness enhanced by technology designed by ancient warriors. The combination was more powerful than anything the coalition had ever encountered. Commander Seo Min-ho could now perceive time differently, seeing multiple possible futures and choosing the paths that led to victory. He understood the psychology of every alien species in the coalition and knew exactly how to exploit their weaknesses. The ancient technology had made him into the perfect military commander. The God of Fight began activating dormant progenitor installations throughout the galaxy. Each facility that came online added to the network, expanding the capabilities available to human forces. The ancient race had prepared for this moment, building a military system that could challenge the dominance of peaceful species. Through the network, Commander Seo Min-ho could communicate instantly with enhanced human pilots anywhere in the galaxy. He could coordinate their actions, provide tactical support, and share battle plans faster than any conventional communication system. The God of Fight was becoming the central nervous system of human military power. The alien coalition detected the activation of progenitor facilities and began mobilizing their forces. They had always known the ancient installations existed, but they had believed them to be dead and harmless. The sudden awakening of the network sent panic through the peaceful species who had grown comfortable with their dominance. Commander Co. Minho used his enhanced abilities to study the coalition forces and plan the perfect strategy to break their blockade. He could see the fear in the alien commanders as they realized they were facing an enemy unlike anything they had encountered. The god of fight understood that terror was a weapon as powerful as any gun. The integration process had made Commander Co. Minho into something between human and machine, but he had retained the warrior spirit that made humans dangerous. His enhanced abilities were guided by human instincts for combat and survival. The ancient technology had found the perfect partner in human consciousness. Dr. Kim Yansu realized that the progenitors had faced the same situation millions of years ago. They had been a warrior race surrounded by peaceful species who feared their military power. The god of fight was their solution, a way to level the playing field when outnumbered by enemies. The network revealed that there were weapons and ships hidden throughout the galaxy waiting for the god of fight to activate them. The progenitors had not just built training facilities, they had created a complete military infrastructure that could support a galactic campaign. Commander Co. Minho began preparing human forces for the battle that would determine the future of their species. The god of fight could coordinate thousands of enhanced pilots and direct them with precision that would overwhelm the alien blockade. The coalition had superior numbers, but humans now had superior leadership. The alien forces around Earth detected the change in human capabilities and began reinforcing their blockade. They brought in additional ships and strengthened their energy barriers, but the god of fight could see through their strategies. The ancient technology had made him into an opponent they could not understand. Dr. Yonghae-won watched Commander Co. Minho work and marveled at the transformation. The god of fight retained his human compassion and loyalty, but combined them with tactical abilities that surpassed any general in history. The ancient progenitors had created the perfect fusion of man and machine. The network began producing advanced fighters and weapons specifically designed for human operators. The god of fight could customize each piece of equipment for individual pilots, maximizing their effectiveness in combat. The ancient technology was giving humans tools that matched their warrior nature. Commander Co. Minho felt the weight of responsibility. As the god of fight, he was no longer just a military commander, he was the living embodiment of human determination to be free. The coalition had tried to cage humanity, but they had only succeeded in creating something more dangerous than they could imagine. The time for preparation was ending. The god of fight had analyzed every aspect of the alien blockade and found the weaknesses that would bring it down. The ancient technology had given humans the tools and leadership needed to reclaim their place among the stars. The peaceful aliens who had imprisoned humanity were about to learn that warriors could not be contained forever. The god of fight would lead the human breakout and show the galaxy that some spirits could never be broken. The god of fight had spent months planning the perfect strategy to shatter the coalition blockade around Earth. Commander Co. Minho could see every alien ship in the formation and knew exactly how they would react to different attacks. The ancient progenitor network had given him abilities that made him the greatest military commander in galactic history. Captain Oh Sang-min led the first squadron of enhanced human fighters as they prepared for the breakout attempt. His ship was equipped with progenitor technology that allowed it to phase through a solid matter and disrupt enemy energy fields. The ancient weapons were unlike anything the coalition had ever faced. The battle plan was elegant in its simplicity, while the aliens expected a direct assault on their blockade. The god of fight had prepared a multi-dimensional attack that would hit them from directions they could not defend. The progenitor network had installations throughout the galaxy, and all of them were about to come alive. Admiral Kang Yoon-ji commanded the Earth Defense Forces from her flagship, watching as the god of fight coordinated the most complex military operation in human history. Through the ancient network, Commander Co. Minho could direct thousands of enhanced pilots while simultaneously activating dormant installations across dozens of star systems. The attack began when progenitor facilities on distant worlds suddenly came online and began producing advanced fighters the Coalition had always known. The ancient installations existed, but they had believed them to be harmless ruins. The sudden activation of the network sent shockwaves through the peaceful alien civilization's captain. O Sang-min received his orders directly from the god of fight through the neural link that connected all enhanced pilots. The ancient technology allowed perfect coordination between human fighters scattered across the galaxy. Every pilot knew exactly what to do and when to do it. The first phase of the attack targeted Coalition supply lines and communication networks. Human fighters equipped with progenitor technology struck at key installations far from Earth, disrupting the aliens' ability to coordinate their forces. The god of fight had identified the weakest points in their military structure. Coalition commanders watched in horror as their supposedly secure facilities were attacked by human forces that seemed to appear from nowhere. The progenitor ships could phase through defensive barriers and strike at targets that should have been impossible to reach. Admiral Kang Eun-ji observed the alien response to the attacks and saw exactly what the god of fight had predicted. The Coalition forces began pulling ships away from the Earth blockade to defend their threatened installations. The ancient strategy was working perfectly. The second phase began when enhanced human pilots started attacking the alien fleet directly. Captain Oh Sang-min led his squadron through the energy barrier around Earth using progenitor technology to phase through the defensive wall. The aliens had never seen anything like it. The Coalition ships opened fire, but their weapons could not track targets that moved through dimensions. The human fighters seemed to flicker in and out of existence, striking at enemy vessels and disappearing before return fire could reach them. The ancient technology was giving humans an impossible advantage. Commander SCO Minho coordinated the battle from his position in the progenitor network. His consciousness was spread across the galaxy, directing thousands of enhanced pilots with perfect precision. The god of fight could see every move the aliens made and counter it instantly. The alien commanders tried to adapt their tactics, but they were facing an enemy that fought according to completely different rules. The Coalition had spent millions of years perfecting warfare between civilized species, but humans fought with primal intensity that their peaceful minds could not comprehend. Captain Oh Sang-min struck at the heart of the alien formation, targeting the command ships that coordinated the blockade. The progenitor weapons could disrupt enemy shields and phase through armor, making even the most heavily defended ships vulnerable to attack. The battle turned into a rout as Coalition forces realized they were facing something beyond their understanding. The peaceful aliens had never encountered warriors who combined advanced technology with savage determination. The human fighters moved through their formations like wolves among sheep. Admiral Kang Eun-ji watched as the supposedly impregnable blockade began to collapse. Ships that had maintained perfect formation for 3 years suddenly broke ranks and fled in panic. The aliens who had confidently imprisoned humanity were now running in terror. The god of fight pressed the advantage, directing human forces to exploit every weakness in the alien formation. Commander SCO Minho could predict their movements and position his fighters to maximum effect. The ancient technology had made him into an opponent the Coalition could not match. Coalition reinforcements arrived from across the galaxy, but they only added to the confusion. The god of fight had anticipated their response and prepared traps that turned their own strength against them. Every move the aliens made played into the human strategy. The energy barriers around Earth began to fail as the power stations that maintained them came under attack. Human fighters struck at the installations with surgical precision, guided by the god of fight to hit exactly the right targets. The prison walls were crumbling. Captain Oh Sang-min led the final assault on the remaining alien ships as the blockade completely collapsed. The Coalition forces that had seemed so powerful just hours before were now fleeing in disorder. The ancient progenitor technology had given humans the tools to reclaim their freedom. The battle was over in less than 12 hours. The Coalition blockade that had held Earth prisoner for 3 years was shattered, and the alien forces were in full retreat. The god of fight had coordinated the perfect military operation using ancient technology. and human warrior spirit Admiral Kongonji sent a message to every human settlement on Earth and in the space stations. The blockade was broken and humanity was free to return to the stars. The aliens had tried to cage them, but they had only succeeded. In making them stronger, the victory was complete, but the God of Fight knew it was only the beginning. The coalition would not accept defeat easily, and they would try to rebuild their forces. The ancient progenitor network was now fully active and ready to support human expansion across the galaxy. Commander Sao Minho felt the satisfaction of victory, but also the responsibility of leadership. The God of Fight had proven that humans could not be contained, but now they had to show the galaxy what they would do with their freedom. The aliens fled beyond the solar system, carrying news of their defeat to the coalition homeworlds. The peaceful species that had dominated the galaxy for millions of years were about to learn that a new power had emerged among the stars. The victory over the coalition blockade sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy as news of humanity's breakout spread to every star system. The God of Fight had shattered the most powerful military formation in galactic history using ancient technology and human determination. The peaceful species that had ruled for millions of years suddenly found themselves facing a new reality. Admiral Bei Hyunsu commanded the expanded human fleet as it spread out from Earth to establish bases on worlds that had been forbidden to them. The progenitor network had revealed the locations of suitable planets throughout the galaxy, and human colonists were eager to claim their new homes. The ancient installations continued to come online, providing advanced ships and weapons for the growing human military. The God of Fight coordinated the expansion with perfect precision, ensuring that every new settlement was protected and supplied. The progenitor technology was giving humanity the tools to become a galactic power. Coalition forces tried to regroup and organize a counterattack, but their efforts were hampered by panic and confusion. The peaceful aliens had never faced an enemy that fought with such intensity, and they did not know how to respond to human tactics. The God of Fight anticipated their every move and countered it effortlessly. Darshin the Jin studied the broader implications of the human expansion and realized that they were following the same path as the ancient progenitors. The warrior race had also been contained by peaceful species before breaking free and claiming their place among the stars. The cycle was repeating itself. The coalition attempted to negotiate, offering humanity membership in their alliance if they would agree to restrictions on their military expansion. The God of Fight rejected the proposal immediately. Commander Sao Minho had learned from the progenitor records that compromise with peaceful species only led to eventual containment. Human settlements began appearing on worlds throughout the galaxy, protected by advanced defenses and patrolled by enhanced fighters. The colonists brought with them the human spirit of exploration and the determination to build something better than what they had left behind. The alien species watched in fear as human ships appeared in their star systems. The peaceful civilizations had grown comfortable with their dominance and were unprepared for the emergence of a new military power. The God of Fight made sure that every human expansion was noticed and remembered. Admiral Bei Hyunsu established diplomatic contact with several alien species, offering them the choice between cooperation and conquest. The message was clear: humanity would no longer accept restrictions on their freedom, but they were willing to work with those who respected their rights. Some of the smaller alien civilizations chose to ally with humanity, recognizing that the balance of power had shifted permanently. These species had been oppressed by the coalition and saw the human expansion as an opportunity for their own liberation. The God of Fight revealed more secrets of the progenitor network, including the locations of massive shipyards and weapon factories that had been hidden for millions of years. These installations began producing fleets of advanced warships specifically designed for human crews. Dr. Shin the Jin discovered that the progenitors had faced the same choice that humanity now confronted. They could either accept peaceful coexistence with species that would eventually try to contain them, or they could establish dominance and ensure their freedom. The ancient warriors had chosen strength. The coalition marshaled their remaining forces for a final desperate assault on human territory, but the God of Fight had prepared for this possibility. The ancient network included defensive installations that could destroy entire fleets, and the peaceful aliens were walking into a trap. Human forces met the coalition attack with overwhelming superiority. The enhanced pilots fought with precision that amazed even their own commanders, while the progenitor technology gave them advantages that made victory inevitable. The alien forces were crushed so completely that they never attempted another offensive. The defeat of the coalition military marked the end of the old galactic order. The peaceful species that had dominated for millions of years were forced to accept that warriors had returned to the stars. The god of fight had proven that some spirits could never be contained. Admiral Bay Hyan-Su received surrender offers from dozens of alien civilizations as word of the coalition defeat spread throughout the galaxy. The peaceful species were eager to avoid the fate of their military forces, and many offered to become human protectorates. The god of fight established new rules for galactic civilization, based on strength and respect rather than forced peace. The ancient progenitor codes were adapted for human use, creating a system where warrior species could thrive without being contained by those who feared them. Human expansion continued at an unprecedented pace as more progenitor installations came online. Each new facility added to the network, making humanity stronger and more capable of defending their freedom. The ancient technology was fulfilling its purpose after millions of years of waiting. Darshin Najin realized that the galaxy was entering a new age where warriors would walk among the stars without fear of containment. The peaceful species would have to adapt to a reality where military power was respected and strength was valued. The god of fight looked out across the galaxy and saw a future where humanity would never again be trapped or contained. Commander Seo Minho had retained his human compassion but combined it with the wisdom of ancient warriors. The combination was creating something that had never existed before. Young humans grew up in a galaxy where they were free to explore and expand without artificial limits. The blockade around Earth had become a distant memory as human ships traveled to the farthest reaches of known space. The warrior spirit that had once been seen as a flaw was now recognized as humanity's greatest strength. The coalition remnants retreated to the outer rim of the galaxy, where they established new colonies far from human space. The peaceful aliens had learned that some species could not be civilized and that warriors would always find a way to break free from any cage. Admiral Bay Hyan-Su established the Human Galactic Command with the god of fight as its supreme coordinator. The ancient progenitor network had given humanity the tools to become the dominant military power in the galaxy, and they intended to use that power to ensure their freedom. The new galactic order was based on the principle that strength earned respect and that warrior species had the right to claim their place among the stars. The peaceful aliens who had once tried to contain humanity now served as examples of what happened to those who underestimated the power of the human spirit. As human ships spread throughout the galaxy carrying colonists and soldiers to new worlds, the god of fight maintained watch over them all. The ancient technology had found its perfect match in human consciousness, and together they would ensure that no force in the galaxy could ever imprison humanity again.